Hello, and welcome to episode one of the brand new podcast, the Babbling Babel. I have absolutely no idea if anyone's watching, and I hope people are watching because we have a super special guest that we're talking tonight, author Atlas J. Lively, who's going to talk to us all about her book, all about herself, where she got her ideas from, what stage she is at in the process. So I hope you are watching because you should watch. But if you're not, don't worry. This is going live on X. It's going live on YouTube, and you'll be able to go back and watch it later on. And I'll share all the links. The format is going to be about 20 to 30 minutes long, 20 minutes really of Atlas telling us about her wonderful book and about her wonderful self. And hopefully we'll take some questions from anybody who's watching. Atlas is kindly agreed to take some questions. So if you do have some questions for us, you'll see this pop up on the screen like that. Do send your questions in the chat. I can show them on screen and we can get your questions over to Atlas. But again, just thank you so much if you are watching this. I've been thinking about doing this podcast for a couple of months, really thinking about, should I do X Spaces? Do I do an audio podcast? It was actually Atlas, when I was talking to Atlas, that said, you should do a video, man, because it's way more personal. And I agree, tend to agree. So here we are. That's why we're here. And thank you so much for coming. And the point of doing this, first and foremost for me, because I love the sound of my own voice. My wife tells me all the time, and she's right. And I'm sure everyone else loves the sound of my voice as well. So you got that for the next sort of 20, 30 minutes. But really what it's about for me is supporting authors, supporting the author community, supporting the writing community. There are so many wonderful people, so many wonderful authors that I've connected with on X and I talk to on other platforms who are in a particular phase, a particular stage of the process, of the journey. They might be writing manuscripts, they might have written a manuscript, trying to get an agent, or the self-publishing, whatever it might be. The idea being is that we get authors onto the show, talk about their work, talk about them, and connect them with other authors, with readers, with agents, with publishers, whatever it is, wherever you are in the journey. That's the point. That's why we're here. That's why I'm doing this podcast. And I'm super pleased that we have the wonderful Atlas J. Lively to come and join us on the first show. So without further ado, enough of me. I know you guys probably love the sound of my voice as much as I do, but enough of me. Let's bring Atlas on. Atlas, welcome. Welcome.
Hi. Thank you very much.
How's your day, first of all? How's your day going?
My day's been pretty good, to be honest. It's been quite chill, honestly. I've mentioned in the past that I basically don't stop thinking about books. So I have been thinking about this all day, and I'm really happy to be here. So thank you so much for inviting me.
No, I think the thanks is all from me to you. I appreciate you coming on to the first episode. Obviously, it won't be anything without authors coming on, and you kindly agreed to come on to the very first episode, and I'm immensely grateful and forever grateful, I think, about that. So, yeah, you know the format, right? We're going to talk about your book. Let's talk about you, get the readers, get the audience to know you. It's over to you. Can you give us a potted overview of your work? What is it? What's it about? What's the title? Tell us the blurb, basically.
Yeah. Well, my book is a coming-of-age science fiction series, which is something I've worked really, really hard on. And it's honestly quite a long book, to be honest. It's sitting at 156,000 words, so that is rough. It's about 500 pages. But it's very much got a mixed lot of characters. So we have people who are young adult, people in their 30s, people in their 20s, and they're all working together, trying to get through their journey. And honestly, writing this book has really made me realize how much I love space. And it's been a brilliant journey so far. My blurb, actually, I worked on that ages ago, and I never thought, to be honest, that it would come of much use. Quite simply because, you know, you're typing away, you're coming up with little ideas for your story and what you think will make it great, but it's just words coming out of your head. You don't know if they're actually going to make any sense. But I wrote this down a while ago, and I looked at it again a few days ago, and I thought, yeah, you know what? It sums it up pretty well. So I can't remember if I've said, but the title of my book is The Heir of Andromeda, and it's based in a time when the two galaxies, the Milky Way and Andromeda Galaxy, collide. And what I love the most about this concept is that actually, in 4 billion years' time, that is going to happen in our universe. The Milky Way and Andromeda are actually going to collide. But
Well, that's
in
something to
order
look forward to, isn't
for,
it?
yeah,
So
but
don't cheer us up.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But in order for this to make sense for the story, I've sped things up. So the blurb says, if you bear with me, two galaxies will collide as one. The Milky Way and Andromeda have been carved into each other's destinies since the beginning of their creation. The year is 2257, and that time is now. Nebula waits on a dying planet. Ignorance has kept her away long enough from the harmful journey that awaits her. However, unaware of her importance, how will she form peace between a dystopian and utopian galaxy? Secrets are kept, problems are made. The First Leap team have choices to make. So, yeah, I
That's
had a
actually
lot of
quite really,
fun with
because
it.
I speak to a lot of authors and a lot of writers, and they normally say, writing the blurb is actually the hardest bit, right? I mean, you've got what, 150,000 words, 500 pages or something. Was that the hardest bit to write out of all of them, the blurb?
Honestly, no, writing the synopsis was the hardest thing for
Okay.
agents because they ask for you to, obviously, they ask for you to include all spoilers. And the thing is that my book has a number of subplots, all of which connect to each other. And those details are very, very important to me because it's those details that are going to propel the series. It's the bits that are going to come up in book 2, book 3, book 4. And it's going to be the bits that the readers will look at and go, oh my goodness, that connects to the first book. So when I was writing the synopsis, I was thinking, how on earth am I going to include all of these details in one page? And that was the hardest thing. Granted, quite often they say that we understand that when it comes to complicated genres such as fantasy or science fiction, sometimes you just can't include all of the spoilers, all of those details. So I included the major ones that propel the first book forward and the ones that make you get your attention at the start of the book, as long as the ones that get your attention at the end of the book. So that's how I narrowed it down. It wasn't an easy process, but I'm still glad I did it because, constantly learning.
So you say there that the it's a series, right? So this is book 1. What's the
Yeah.
plan there? Do you have a plan in your head already about how long it's going to
Yes.
be? The full series, you do.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I have an idea. I know already like what's going to happen in this series. I know the big story. I know how it's going to work. The only thing is how many books am I going to be allowed to write? So I can, and there will be at least 3 books, whether or not published traditionally or self-published, if it comes to that. But I could potentially get 6 books out of this series because this is a large universe that I've created, and I love it so much.
Tell us about your characters. What's the MC's name? What's the main character's name? Was it
Yeah,
Nebula? You say?
the main character is actually called Dr. Nebula Willows, and she is 18 years old. She's actually an introvert. She loves science, she loves learning, she loves problem solving, mathematics, and she basically wants nothing more than to stay in her room and work out the problems of the universe without having to go outside. So she's very much an introvert. And her mum is also just as intelligent as she is. Her mum works for a large corporation in this time in 2257 called Eternal Science, which will, in that time, save mankind from the dying planet Earth. And what they're planned to do is essentially to send teams of people out into the universe, into galaxies where they suspect there will be habitable planets that will support life so that mankind can continue even if Earth does die. And Nebula is dragged into this plan, and she doesn't want to have to follow in her mum's footsteps. Granted, she loves science as much as her own mum, but no one wants to feel like they're a shadow. So that's more or less what Nebula is starting off with at the beginning of the book. She's her own person. She wants to be her own person, and she doesn't want to be conformed into anything else. So that's the main character.
How much of
There's
you goes into that character, Atlas, if anything? When you're writing your main character, is there any traits that your character has that you think, well, that's me a little bit, right
yeah,
there? Um,
yeah, absolutely. In this, well, I'm definitely not. I'm not a doctor. I'm not. I'm nowhere near as intelligent as what she is.
Astrophysicist, partner.
Absolutely not. But I am fascinated constantly with learning, and I definitely think that being open to constantly learn about the world around you helps you with writing. So there's definitely that in me. Um, as you can probably understand, Nebula has a bit of a complicated relationship with her mother, whereas I have a very good relationship with my mum. So that is not mirrored in the book. Nebula, obviously, she's also 18 years old. I'm 26. Um, Also, she's quite sure of herself. And in the past, when I was that age, I wish I was more sure of myself. So you learn a lot from your characters as you piece them together.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. I think we all
Mm.
wish that we were a little bit more confident, don't we, in the teenage years? I love that. So, point of view on the book. What's the first person, third person, and are we
Yeah,
always
so
with Nebula, or are there other characters, and we
yeah,
go
we
along with their
have
journey?
yeah, we have a lot of mixed point of views. So obviously the main point of view that you return to chapter every other chapter is Nebula, her first person perspective. But you also get the perspectives of the other team members that are going on the first leap along with her. So we have scientists Dr. Gemma Blue and Dr. Freddie Fury. The two of them, they actually grew up together. They are basically best friends. They went to uni together and they're both very intelligent people. Considering the fact that this is a group of people that are supposed to be leaving Earth to populate a new planet, build on what we have from here, take it somewhere else, I tried to include a large array of characters that have different backgrounds of education, different ethnicities, so that we fully represent what mankind is. So Dr. Gemma Blue, she is PhD in microbiology, psychology, and botany, and Dr. Freddie Fury has a PhD in physics, chemistry, and astronomy. Then we also have a medical doctor on the team, of course, to make sure that they're safe throughout their journeys. That's Dr. Gracie Thacker. But it's not just doctors that are on the team, which is one of the things that really humored me as I was writing it. So, for example, we've got a young girl who is 15 years old called Hannah, and she is somebody who is just fascinated by social studies, people, and art. So she is probably what you could imagine as like a teenage hippie. She's fascinated by people and the way we work. She's fascinated by the planet. Um, and in the very beginning of the book, actually, one of the characters asks her, "Why are you here? Like, what's the point in you being here?" And she said, "Well, what's the point in mankind traveling to another planet when you may not even know who you actually are, whereas I'm a specialist in who we are." Um, who we are as mankind, what makes us tick, and I loved including that in the book. We also have a guy called Wolf Ashton, and he is actually brother to Hannah, as well as Robert Ashton and Carter Ashton. And I really loved making their dynamic because all of these kids are adopted under one family roof. So they have different ethnicities, different backgrounds of how they ended up in an orphanage. That's not gone into in the book, but it's something that can be brought up later. But they all look out for each other. They all look different, but they all have the same mum and dad. So I really loved making them gel. It was such a wonderful learning experience for me, to be honest. So Wolf Ashton is his ethnicity is Black American, and whereas we have Hannah, Robert, and Carter, who are Caucasian white. We also have other characters in the book that are of Latin ethnicity, Chinese ethnicity, Asian ethnicity, and I like doing that because we're all people, aren't we? So yeah.
Love that. I love that. That's really, really cool. One more question about the book, and then I think we should talk about yourself. And I've got a couple of questions that I like to ask authors anyway. Where did the idea come from? I mean, have you always loved sci-fi stuff, sci-fi films, sci-fi books? Always been a bit of a sci-fi fan? Or I mean, because this is a complex thing that you're creating.
Yeah.
So where did it come from? Where does the idea come from? If you can pinpoint one thing.
Yeah, of course. Well, to be honest, you're not going to believe this. The first idea when I decided I need to make this into a book was when I dreamt it. I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning from this extremely vivid dream of the team taking their first leap into this galaxy, this place, and it was a really vivid dream. And I have quite a lot of vivid dreams. I remember sitting bolt upright in bed at 4 a.m. and thinking, okay, right, you actually need to write this down now, because or else you're going to forget it. And I just thought, yeah, let's just write this down just in case, you can actually do something with it. Because this was probably about 4 years ago. And back then I had not necessarily a dream to be a writer, but I didn't think it wasn't in my mind. You know what I mean? I was just thinking about, well, obviously my illness because I've not been very well. But when that happened, I thought, yeah, maybe you should actually try this. So I wrote about 20,000 words, and then I took a couple years break. I basically just left it, kind of forgot about it. And then it was 2 years ago, I was sitting watching a program and it really inspired me. And I was thinking, I would love to create something as moving as that. And then suddenly, bing, in my head, hang on a minute, didn't you have that story idea that you came up with years ago and you said you were going to finish it? Like, you actually need to finish that. So from that moment on, I decided 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, I would write that book. And then 9 months later, it was finished. So
love that. So 9 months. It took you 9 months to write the 150,000 words. I think that's pretty impressive. Which I think moves us quite serendipitously into questions about yourself. And I'm always quite fascinated about people's physical geographies, if you like, where they're right. So I don't know if you can tell, I am currently in what we call the family room. It's a dining room, but I'm in the family room right now. And quite a lot of time I work here. I do my day job on this very desk, and I sit at this very desk in the evening when I'm writing or doing podcasts now. Where are you when you're writing? Are you the sort of person that can write anywhere? You're on the bus, flip out the laptop, no problem? Or is it regimented, I've got to be here when I'm writing?
It's honestly, I wouldn't necessarily say I could write on a bus because there's a lot of distractions. But I do have my places that I go to write. So right here where I am, I did actually write the majority of my book where I am sat. But I recently acquired a antique writing desk, and I use that a lot. I take my laptop up there, sit in the peace and quiet of my bedroom, and I can just type up there for as long as I want. So that's usually where I write. But I also really enjoy writing in cafes. Honestly, just mixing up the location can also really freshen your mind. So usually, if I say I'm going to write, I will be here or I'll be upstairs, but I'm not closed to those areas. I'm open to going elsewhere.
I've tried it, I've tried it. Sometimes I'll be in the evening, I'll be writing in here, and my wife, you might be watching something that sounds vaguely interesting. I'll go in there, sit at the laptop on my lap, and I get nothing done. Nothing. I'm on the. It's terrible. I think I've got to be like that. And music as well. Can you have music on when you're writing?
Yeah, I need music actually to write.
You need music. Particular type of music. What's on the playlist when you're writing?
I have a lot of I'm not even sure what you call it. Maybe ambient music, but it's more lively than that. I listen to an artist called Wave Shaper quite a lot. He does a lot of kind of techie, yeah, but it does also give the idea of like spacey. I've listened to like Magic Sword, and I don't just listen to that though. I listen to like pop, I listen to rock, I listen to R&B, indie. I listen to loads of stuff, and I often have a song that I latch onto on repeat as I write the same song over and over again.
Are these songs even with lyrics in? Or is it just sort of instrumental music? Even with lyrics in, because I can't do that. I try it, and I listen to the music rather than writing the book, or it influences me in a way that I don't want to. I'll end up writing the lyrics to the song or something in the book and get myself in all sorts of trouble. I can't do it. Yeah, I've tried that. I'm just absolutely no good at it. I love that. I love that you've got an antique writing desk as well. That's very cool. I'm a big fan of old antique writing desks. Conscious time, but I know that you don't just do writing, do you? There's something else that you do in your spare time, perhaps to satisfy creative urges that you have. What's that? Tell us about that. By all means, genuinely sell that. What is it that you do when you're not writing?
Yes, when I'm not writing, I am talking about books on my YouTube channel, which is called Call Me Atlas. And on there, I basically talk about everything book related. So I will talk about the books that I'm reading. I'll talk about the books that maybe I plan to read. I also do, sorry, my mind blank. I buy books and I show what I've bought. And I do reading challenges, and I'm about to do writing challenges as well. Basically, all things that can fuel my creativity. Because I realized a while ago I needed a camera that I could rant to about all of the things I love. I couldn't keep it in anymore. And that's why I love my YouTube channel. It's just a great space where I can talk, talk and talk.
So do I. I love your YouTube channel as well. I've seen a few of them now. We were talking about this earlier just we came online. And for anyone watching this, hopefully there are people watching it, right? Hopefully there are people watching this. If you are watching this, we will share Atlas's YouTube channel in the comments. We'll point you guys towards it. We'll share some stuff. Share it on X. I'm always on X, so share it on there, Atlas. I recommend it. Go and watch it, because I actually, and we talked about this before, I actually find it just really, really warming. It's really personable, and the thing I love about your channel so much, and what I get from that is that I reckon that you do the same thing in your writing, in that you come across. It's very personable. Your YouTube channel, and on more than one occasion, it's probably made me laugh. And I just think it's charming because of that. And I can imagine that the way that you put yourself in your YouTube channel, I imagine that comes out in your writing as well. And you get that personable quality. I can well believe that before I've even read a word that you've written. I well believe that. So guys, if you've not checked out Atlas's channel, if you don't follow Atlas, you should follow Atlas. She posts her videos on X, right? You post them on X. And if you're watching on YouTube, We'll share it in the comments after the video's done. Go and check them out because they're really, really good, especially if you're interested in books and writing and creativity. I love it. I genuinely do. It's absolutely brilliant. Good stuff. So, do you know what? I've just got one more question, really.
Mm-hmm.
And it's around habits, right? And I've been doing a lot. I listen to a lot of audiobooks. I read a lot of books as well. And there's one I'm reading. This is for my day job, actually. I'm reading one at the moment, which is, it's actually called Essentialism. It's a great book. It's really very good. I forget the name of the author. I'll let you know. But it's a very good book, and it's all about setting the right habits, right, in your working day. There's silly things like get the small stuff done first, because then you feel good about yourself by 10 in the morning that you've knocked out some little jobs. And it's all about setting habits in your life, right? And I think I need that for my writing as well, because I find that if I get in the habit of writing habitually, and I've got set times and I respect those times, I do really well. But the opposite can occur for me. So if I think, oh, I'm just going to have a night off because I'm shattered or there's something I watch on telly, that can snowball for me. And I can set myself some really bad habits quite quickly. And I also have some quite peculiar habits, I think, when I write. So that's the question I've got for you, really, is there anything peculiar? Do you have any peculiar habits, or do you have any particular things that you think, this is me, this is quirky about my writing? It might be your approach to writing, it might be the way you plot stuff, or it might be the way you've created characters. Is there anything about that really that you think, yeah, that's an Atlas thing right there?
Well, one thing straight off the bat is that if I am on a roll and I am in the middle of writing, if my husband comes in the room and he needs to ask me a question, I won't reply to him until I'm done, because I need to get what's in my head on the page, or else if I stop, I could mess it up. It needs to be perfect as it's in my head right there, right then. So we have an understanding where Alex will come in the room, he'll see him, he'll like go to ask me a question, but if I ignore him, he'll just stand there and wait a couple minutes until I'm finished, and then I'll take off my headphones and I'll say, "What is it, love?"
Love that. Alex sounds ace. We love Alex.
Yeah.
See, my wife's not even writing, and she doesn't answer my questions. Anyway, she's not even doing anything. She's just like, no, I'm not talking to you. I love that. But to be fair, like my wife, and it sounds like you've got the same thing with Alex. My wife is incredibly supportive. You know, she makes time for me. She takes the kids out. You know, things like that. She unbelievably supportive. My wife, and it sounds like Alex is the same thing. There, where he's blessed, waiting patiently for whether you want jam or Marmite on your toast for you to finish your sentence. I love that. So very last thing, and I'm really conscious of time, and again, thank you so much. Where are you in the process now? The manuscript is written, right? You've done 150,000 words. Where are you? What's next? What's going on?
Well, I have sent my book to roughly 60 agents now, and I've heard back from a really good handful. There's been a number of them that said that they read my book in full, they really enjoyed it, but they just felt it just wasn't quite the right one for them to represent, which is fine, because the thing is that you can't expect all of it to fall in your lap perfectly when you decide you want to be a writer. I was talking to my husband about this so that he could kind of understand what it's like. And I said, imagine you're going to an art gallery of a new artist, and they've got all of their frames all across the room. You could do a look around. There'd be a couple that catch your eye, like, oh yeah, that's good. Yeah, I think that's all right. But all it takes is one person to look at one particular painting at yours in a different way and go, wow, that means something. And the thing is that that's exactly what you're looking for in an agent. You want an agent to look at your book, look at your work, and go, wow. And if they don't have that immediate click, then that means that it may not be the best for your career. So you have to be patient in searching out the right agent. So that's basically what I'm doing. I'm continuing the search. And in the meantime, I am a third of the way through the second book of the series. So that's that.
Very well done. That's really cool. Excellent. So if you are watching this and you're an agent, or you know of an agent that's into 150,000 word sci-fi novels that just super complex universes, you should get in touch with that by all means. But 60, to be honest, I think that it's, people have read your book, right? Sometimes they don't go for the new synopsis, right? So that's a good thing. I think that's a really good thing. And it might be just that it's not right for them at this time, right? It might be just this time, because clearly they're liking it if they're reading it, right? If you're getting all the way through. It's rare for me, but it does happen. I do stop a book sometimes if I'm like, I'm really not feeling this. I have done it in the past. Where I've stopped a book because I'm just like, I haven't got time for this. I've got, it's only 52 weeks in the year. I've got a lot of books to read. So I think that's really good. That's a positive thing. And I wish you honestly all the best of luck. And I cannot wait to read it, whether you traditionally publish or self-publish, whatever it is, Atlas. Please let me know. I'll keep a watch on it. It's right there. There it is. I can't see it from here, but I can't read it. I can't read that.
That's all right.
But yes, you must, let us all know, and we'll keep sharing it and everything. We do. We wish you the greatest of success.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming on. Massively appreciate it. And guys, like we said, anybody watching, we will we'll post all of Atlas's links. So if you're not following Atlas, shame on you. You absolutely should. Absolutely should. You're missing out, I think. We'll post your YouTube channel as well, because that's really, really good. And keep us all informed, Atlas. And actually, when it's published, because it will, when it gets published, come back on and we'll talk about where you've gone from today to getting it published. We'll talk about the rest of that journey and see how you're getting on with book 2 as well. I'd love that. Yeah. But thank you so much. Appreciate it. Really do. Not at all. Thank you so much for coming. You've made the first podcast amazing. You really have, Atlas. Thank you so much. And we'll talk soon.
Yes, absolutely, Simon.
Cheers, mate. Talk to you soon. Cheers, buddy.
Thank you.
There we are, guys. Atlas J. Lively. She's just wonderful, right? Absolutely wonderful. And I really mean it. If you're not following her, you're missing out. You really are. And shame on you. Shame on you. And if you're not watching her YouTube videos, you should, because they're just funny. They're really personable, really creative. And we do. I genuinely wish her all the best of luck with her book. I hope you enjoyed that. I genuinely did. It's so good getting an insight into other writers. I think as writers, we're all a little bit like Nebula, a little bit like Atlas's main character. We're trying to sort out the world from our office, dining room, wherever it is, antique desk, wherever it is that we're writing from. We're creating worlds, we're trying to fix that world, understand that world in a very insular way from our little closed off box, really. So I just find it so fascinating being able to get insight from other authors. We have this podcast will be live every fortnight on a Tuesday, every fortnight. And we've got sort of 3 or 4 lined up now coming back over the next sort of 4 weeks, or 8 weeks, I should say. We've got about 4 other guests coming in. We're definitely going to get Atlas back when she's published as well. I should say, if you are an author, a writer, whatever it is in this industry, get in touch. I'd love to have you on. We'd love to talk about what it is that you do, connect you with readers and agents and publishers and other authors, and help to support the writing community, because we are best when we are supporting each other. I found genuinely are, and we should continue to do that, because it's one of the best communities on X and other platforms as well. It really is. So let's continue to do that. Last thing to say is thank you so much. Thank you for coming to this. Hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you in a couple of weeks. Thanks, guys. Enjoy.